Hello everybody. Look at this. Today's video topic is it smart for the doctor to admit that he did something wrong? Yes or no? That's what I'm talking about today. Is it smart for a doctor to actually admit that he did something wrong? Want to know the answer? Come join me in a moment as I get started as we talk about, is it smart for the doctor to actually admit that he did something wrong? Stand by as we get ready to get started. Almost ready. And here we go with my fancy ticker tape. Here we go. There we go. My nice ticker tape. Is it smart for the doctor to admit that he did something wrong? Look at that. My fancy ticker tape going by. Beautiful. And we're getting ready to get started in just about 10 seconds. Is it smart for the doctor to admit that he did something wrong? You want to know the answer? Come join me as I share with you some great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. And in my opinion, the answer is yes, it is smart for the doctor to admit that he did something wrong. You want to know why? Because once you admit that you did something wrong, all of a sudden now there's no longer a dispute. Because when you bring a lawsuit against your doctor claiming that he violated the basic standards of medical care, now the doctor typically turns around and says, hey, why are you suing me? I did nothing wrong. Don't sue me. I did absolutely nothing wrong. I don't understand this, right? That's the first thing they say. Then he turns around and says, wait a second. If I did something wrong, guess what? So did you, the patient. You didn't listen to me. I told you to do something. You didn't listen. And then he turns around and says, you know what? If I did something wrong and you did something wrong, well, guess what? Whatever I did or didn't do didn't cause your injury. Then they turn around just to give you a little nudge in the back and say, hey, Rob, nice to see you. Then they turn around and give you a little nudge in the back and say, hey, if I did something wrong and you, the patient, also did something wrong, well, maybe if I did cause injury, your injuries really are not as bad as you claim them to be. Those are the typical defenses that we see in these medical malpractice cases here in New York. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about, is it smart for the doctor to admit that he did something wrong? And the answer, in my opinion, is yes. It's extremely smart. Because the moment you acknowledge and admit that you did something wrong, guess what? Now all of a sudden that level of dispute goes down. Now the doctor appears to be transparent. Now the doctor appears to be more enthusiastic and more truthful than if he were to fight it tooth and nail saying, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. Nothing I did caused or contributed to your injuries. But the moment he says, you know what? Okay, maybe I did violate the basic standards of medical care. But that's not enough. That's not enough to prove that you have a valid case. In New York, we have to show not only that the doctor was careless or wrong, or I shouldn't say wrong, he was careless and violated the basic standards of medical care. Let's see, nice incorporation of a website on the live feed. Thank you so much, Rob. So we have to show that the doctor was careless. We have to show that the doctor's carelessness was a cause of your injury. And then we have to show that your injury is significant or permanent. Those are the three things that we have to show using a medical expert to confirm that we have a valid basis for a case. So the question I asked in the title is it smart for a doctor to admit that he did something wrong? Yes, you know why? Because even though he may admit that he did something wrong, it doesn't mean that you win your case. It doesn't mean he's going to throw his hands up and say, hey, wait a second, you're absolutely right, let me roll over and tell me how much I should write the check for. That's not what happens. That's not how it works. That's not how any of it works. So instead, what happens? So let's say for a moment that you've decided you had to sue your doctor because he was careless, and you believe that his carelessness was a cause of your injury. So now, you go ahead and start the lawsuit. The doctor turns around and he says, no, I didn't. And during the course of the litigation process, he says, you know what? You're right. When he's questioned, when your attorney questions him in a question and answer session known as a deposition, which is pretrial testimony that carries the same exact weight as if he's testifying at trial. So now if he admits that he did something wrong, okay, now his doctor or his attorney has told him, listen, it's a good idea for you to actually admit that you did something wrong. Well, guess what? Now, he's not saying that whatever he did caused or contributed to your injury, nor is he saying that your injuries are significant or permanent. So out of the three things that you have, out of those three things that you have to show that you are more likely right than wrong. Number one, that there was wrongdoing. Number two, that the wrongdoing was a cause of your injury. And number three, that the injury is significant and permanent. He's only admitting the very first one. The very first one. So that means that that's eliminated. But you still have two other things to prove, right? You still have to show that the wrongdoing was a cause of, doesn't have to be the cause. In New York, we only have to show it was a cause because there could be multiple causes. So we have to show that connection, that link, that bridge between the carelessness and the wrongdoing. And he's going to dispute that tooth and nail. He's going to fight that. And then he's also going to dispute the extent of your injuries. So even though the doctor may be wise in some instances to go ahead and say, yes, I did something wrong here in this instance, you know what? He's not going to turn around and say, yeah, my wrongdoing caused you harm. No, he's not going to do that. And he's not going to turn around and say, yeah, my wrongdoing caused you horrible, permanent injury. He's not going to say that either. He's going to fight you tooth and nail. So just because, hang on one second, just because a doctor turns around and admits during the course of a lawsuit that he did something wrong does not mean that you win your case. It does not mean that they roll over, admit everything, and that's the end of your case and you go home with a check in your pocket. No, I'm sorry, but that's not how it works. So the title of this video again is it smart for your doctor to admit he did something wrong? The answer is, in some cases, it may be very smart. Because if he can't fight it, if it's clear cut that he violated the basic standards of medical care, he'd be much smarter from a strategy standpoint to go ahead and acknowledge he did something wrong, but then go ahead and turn around and argue, hey, wait a second, whatever I did wrong did not cause or contribute to your injuries. And whatever injuries you have, they're nothing, they're minor, they're small, I didn't cause them, you're going to live with that, you're going to be fine. That type of argument. So why do I share this great information with you? I share it with you just to give you a sense of what goes on these medical malpractice cases here in New York. And now I want to share something else with you, and that's going to be my phone number as it comes up. If you have questions and your matter did happen here in New York, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up the phone, and that color doesn't look very good, so I'm going to change the color of this phone number. There we go. And we're going to turn it into red. Nice bright red. Make it bold. There we go. Okay. So if your matter did happen here in New York and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit but haven't done so yet because you still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, just like yours, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at the number on the screen. It's 516-487-8207, or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's quick video. I hope you found this informative, and if you have, I want you to share it, I want you to like it, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to do the same thing.